Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Military Forces Unleashed, where we dive headfirst into the machines that keep the battlefield interesting. Today, we're talking about the CV90. You know, the one that makes infantry fighting vehicles look like they've got something to prove. If you've ever wondered what happens when Scandinavian design meets military firepower, well, buckle up. This one's got all the Nordic flair without the IKEA assembly. In this episode, we'll break down what the CV90 is, where it came from, and most importantly, what makes it such a standout on the modern battlefield. Let's dive in. The CV90, short for Combat Vehicle 90, was birthed from Sweden's need for something a little more survivable. Back in the 1980s, the Swedish Army looked at the Cold War landscape and said, "We need a ride that can handle business." The result? Bofors and Hägglunds teamed up to create a vehicle that could take a hit, dish out some serious firepower, and still have room for the squad. By the early 90s, the first CV90s rolled out, looking like something out of a Scandinavian sci-fi flick. Sleek, deadly, and ready to rumble. Fun fact, it's designed to handle the harsh Nordic winters, which means this thing can wade through snow like it's taking a stroll in the park. But don't be fooled. Under that frosty exterior lies a beast. Over the years, it's evolved, with over 15 variants tailored for everything from anti-aircraft duties to command roles. You name it, there's probably a CV90 built for it. So, what makes the CV90 tick? Let's start with the basics. This isn't your typical armored box on tracks. First off, it's packing a 40mm Bofors autocannon. Because why settle for less? This bad boy can spit out rounds like it's in a hurry, shredding anything unfortunate enough to be in its path. And if that wasn't enough, it can be outfitted with anti-tank guided missiles. Armor-wise, it's modular. You've got add-ons for everything from ballistic protection to mine defense. Think of it like dressing up for a battlefield fashion show, except the stakes are a little higher. Oh, and the CV90 can hit speeds up to 70 kilometers per hour. Not bad for something that weighs around 35 tons. It's like a linebacker with the speed of a sprinter. Let's talk about tech. The CV90 is decked out with sensors and a digital battlefield management system that gives the crew real-time updates. Basically, it's like having Google Maps for combat, except instead of finding coffee shops, it's tracking enemy movements. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The CV90 isn't just about brute force, it's smart, too. The latest versions come with a 360-degree camera system, giving the crew a full view of their surroundings without ever having to stick their heads out. Think of it like a VR setup, but with much higher stakes. And then there's the active suspension system. This thing adjusts on the fly, meaning the CV90 can handle rough terrain like a champ. Mud, snow, sand, you name it. This beast eats it for breakfast. It even has a feature that lowers the chassis for better stealth. Yes, stealth, on an armored vehicle, because why not? In pop culture, the CV90 hasn't hit the big screen yet, but give it time. With looks like that, Hollywood's bound to come knocking. The CV90 made its debut in Kosovo and later saw action in Afghanistan, where it quickly proved its worth. Soldiers loved its mobility and protection, and let's be honest, rolling around in one of these feels a bit like driving a tank with the handling of a Jeep. It's been adopted by several countries, including Norway, Finland, and the Netherlands, each tweaking it to suit their needs. In combat, it's not just a troop carrier, it's a force multiplier. Need to suppress an enemy position? Done. Want to clear a path through hostile territory? Easy. It's versatile, which is exactly what you want when things get messy. Oh, wait. But as much as we'd love to call it perfect, let's get real. The CV90 isn't invincible. For one, maintenance can be a headache. Keeping all that high-tech gear running smoothly isn't cheap or easy. And while it's fast and agile, it's still a big target. Hit it with the right weapon, and even the best armor has its limits. Then there's the cost. This isn't a budget-friendly option. Countries have to weigh whether the capabilities justify the price tag. Spoiler, for most it does. But hey, nothing's perfect, right? There's also the ongoing debate about whether infantry fighting vehicles like the CV90 are still relevant in modern warfare. Drones, cyber warfare, and long-range missiles are changing the game. But for now, having something like the CV90 on the front lines is still a pretty good insurance policy. So, there you have it, the CV90 in all its glory. It's tough, smart, and versatile, but not without its quirks. It's a prime example of what happens when you combine innovation with battlefield experience. Sure, it's got its flaws, but what doesn't? At the end of the day, if you're riding in a CV90, you're in good hands. Just don't forget to thank the Swedes. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to Military Forces Unleashed, and drop a comment below. Let's keep the conversation going. What do you think about the CV90? Love it? Hate it? Let's hear it. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Your support keeps this channel running, and we appreciate every single one of you. Catch you next time.